The holidays are the perfect time to share family stories and recipes between generations, taking a break from the fast-paced world of our lives to reconnect with our family history. The executive editor of Kidsburgh, we have Melissa Rayworth, is back with some easy tools that you can try with your relatives this year, and really something to keep in mind when you gather again. So good to see you.
You too, Heather.
I love this topic. So many Pittsburghers too have really deep family histories, very rich family histories. So why is this so important to connect with them in this way?
Well, it's interesting. As you said, Pittsburgh is a very family-focused place, and a lot of people are lucky to have multiple generations here.
Yeah.
But life goes fast. We're all really busy, and there may be stories, that your mother knows or your grandmother knows that, if you don't capture them and if you don't ask about them, they disappear.
They just get lost.
Yeah, and the holidays and a family party can be the perfect time. You've got everybody together so you can do some of this.
And this could be as basic as asking them to bring some pictures with them at the family gathering.
Exactly. I mean, there may be some prints of photos that your aunt or your grandmother has that nobody else in the family has seen or has seen in years. If they bring them, everyone else has their smartphone. People can take an awesome high-res shot of some of those pictures, and then everybody has them.
Well, and I think too, just bringing a picture can create a story.
Right.
Because you're going to look at this and you're going to say, "Oh my gosh, look at how young you were," or look at your clothing from back in the day, or it's just going to inspire these stories to start.
Exactly. And one of the tips we have in the story that we have out this week on Kidsburgh is make sure you have a magnifying glass handy, because there could be, it's not just the people in the photos. There could be a car that your grandparents had or a pet that your mom had when she was little that you never heard a story about, and those stories come out.
Yeah, it's so wonderful too. And if you're the host and you have a lot of relatives coming over, one of your other suggestions and part of the article is to find a quiet space where maybe some older relatives will feel comfortable really speaking and sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I think one answer would be invite your grandmother or grandfather to come a little early. If there's going to be, 25 relatives coming, have somebody come a little early. Maybe they can sit in the kitchen while you're preparing some food, and in that quieter space, they may feel comfortable telling stories.
I have to tell you, Melissa, when we were talking, doing our pre-planning for this segment, we started talking about family recipes, and I know that's part of all of this too. And I shared with our producer, Maggie, that my grandma, before she passed away, she's Irish. She, never made Syrian food before she met my grandfather, but she learned how to make all of the recipes, including grape leaves. And so here's a picture of us before she had passed, her trying to teach me how to make grape leaves. My aunt has carried on that tradition too.
Well, I love that you guys took the time to do that and that you did learn that, and now you can teach your kids. One of the things we thought about for this year is if a relative is bringing a dish that's been in the family, ask them to write out the recipe and include maybe some stories about who they learned it from. Who was it in the family that started this recipe to begin with, or some funny story they might remember from a year that that dish was served.
And one of my biggest regrets is, we started writing down some of those recipes before she passed, and we were not able, I started a little recipe book, and we weren't able to complete it. But to me, it was so important to learn that, because all of those dinners that we shared together, they have history and connection.
Absolutely. I love that you made that book, and that is something, if people capture a lot of maybe some video, some audio, some photos this year, they can maybe create some sort of keepsake book later.
And in addition to recipes and stories and pictures, you also say maybe bring some sentimental value items, to a gathering.
Especially if you're gathering at an older relative's home, there might be something that they don't think of as super special, but it's the mixer that they used to make cakes 50 years ago. As you said before, there's stories that may be related to that. To them, they're like, well, it's just a mixer, or it's just an ice cream scoop. But there are stories related to that. And if they put it out on the table and people start talking, all kinds of fun things will come out.
Well, I love this because Kidsburgh really is all-encompassing. You share stories that help parents and find activities for kids, but there are also these things that really speak to family at its core. And when do you think is a good time to start bringing your kids into these conversations too?
Well, I think that's part of the fun. This year at a big family gathering, even if the kids are off at the kids' table, one of the other things we suggest is if you put a question at each person's seat, and it's a fun, easy question. What was your favorite holiday gift you ever got from a family member? Kids are going to begin to hear stories this year, and then they may have questions. They may want to know more.
I love this. I think it's great. Thank you so much for giving us some insight into this, and a reminder too. If you're interested in checking out Melissa's article or reading more from Kidsburgh, we'll have a link on our website. You want to check this one out. Still to come on Talk Pittsburgh, the new show coming to Pittsburgh that focuses on leaving one's native country for a foreign one. We're hearing from the composer who explains why this story hits close to home. That's up next. Stay with us.